Hey gang, this is Bear Williams, a founding member of TMF and former bassist and musical director of Maze Featuring Frankie Beverly. There's been a lot of misinformation floating around on the internet since the six of us made the very difficult decision to leave Mr. Beverly's employ. Some people are just misinformed, while others choose to tell outright lies about us and our lead singer, Chris Walker. We know that some of it's born out of partly loyalty to Mr. Beverly, and some statements are born out of a lack of accurate information, otherwise known as the truth. We've been accused of everything from turning our backs on Frankie to staging a coup in order to hijack the band. I'm here today to set the record straight about what happened and why. As with any job or career, disputes, conflicts, and miscommunications arise within music industry organizations on a daily basis. Most of the time, these differences can be settled through the professional ethics of the individuals involved and a willingness of both parties to come to an agreement that makes sense for all concerned. It's called a win-win, and everyone in this scenario should walk away from the bargaining table a little better for the experience. Almost 2 years ago now, Mr. Beverly's longtime business manager passed away suddenly. It was a terrible shock to all of us. He was a tough businessman, and he wasn't perfect, but you could always get him to listen to you. And sometimes you could even get him to move in your direction to achieve a compromise on things. It's my opinion that when he passed away, so did the Maze organization as I knew it. Other personnel were brought in to fill the huge void left by him, and in the beginning, the new regime allegedly promised us transparency, honesty, and an open-door policy. Things did seem like they were better at first, but from our perspective, more and more of the opposite became true. Everything came to a head this past February when I found out that we would be on hiatus for 3 months with no pay, no stipend, and no retainer whatsoever. The way we found out about this 12-week gap in employment should have been through some kind of formal announcement, but that was not the case. We found out about the 3 months off because I went to management to ask when our next block of shows would be. And so, with virtually no warning, we were off the road and out of work. 3 long months without so much as a single shred of communication from management to see how we were holding up, and no money sent to stem the tide of the bills and mortgages that we all still faced each and every month of our downtime. Think about that for a moment. 3 months off, no warning, no communication, no money. And yet, from our perspective, we were allegedly expected to just show up after the 3 months were off with smiles on our faces and a song in our heart, ready to go back to work for the organization. How would you feel about coming back to work after being treated in this way? But we still all decided to come back. Not for the organization, but for Mr. Beverly. I cannot speak on what he did or did not know about any of this. But what I can say is that from my perspective, I allege that we were being systematically separated from Mr. Beverly. I spent 20 years in Maze, and yet I was no longer able to communicate with Mr. Beverly via text or in person. None of us have spoken to him since our last show in February. Fast forward to May 7th of this year, when we were scheduled to perform with Mr. Beverly at the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. Even though we decided to play the festival after the long unpaid hiatus, the catastrophic breakdown in communication between ourselves and management made it abundantly clear that there simply was no way forward for us in this organization. And so we made the very difficult decision to move on. Mr. Beverly's management put an exclamation point on our departure by not negotiating with us when we asked to be paid more money for the NOLA show. Rather than speak to us, they canceled our flights and hired 6 different musicians to play the festival. That was the end of Maze Featuring Frankie Beverly as most people have known it for the past 20 years. As much as it hurt to leave Mr. Beverly and the Maze family, professional pride and dignity would not allow us to continue on given the level of disrespect leveled against us by the present management hierarchy. Let me again state that the relationship breakdown was with management and never Mr. Beverly. TMF, The Music Forever, was born out of the need for us to continue our journey with the music that we molded and developed with our DNA over the last 20 years. Before I close, let me just clear up a few other items. We never said that Mr. Beverly was retiring, nor did we ever say that he should. We never staged a coup. We harbor no anger nor resentment towards Mr. Beverly or his management team. Sometimes relationships just don't work out. TMF is not a tribute band. We are the band, and we honor and love Mr. Beverly. That's why we perform his music. Musicians are not interchangeable puzzle pieces, and real positive chemistry between musicians is rare. That's why there's only a handful of really great bands that have ever existed and stood the test of time. No man is an island, and Frankie Beverly did not make it to the top of the musical mountain by himself. He had a lot of help from a myriad of musicians, both past and present, that helped him carve out his niche in the business. That is a fact that applies to all artists, and it should be acknowledged by anyone who claims to be a lover of music. And last but not least, our very own Rome came up with the name Maze. So stay tuned for much more from TMF. We have placed our hearts and souls into this endeavor, and the positive vibes, prayers, and support that we've received far outweigh any detractors. How could it ever be a bad thing to have more than one way to experience music that's based in love, peace, and joy? We wish Mr. Beverly, his new band, and organization all the best for the future. Thank you to our many current fans and to those that we have yet to meet. God bless you.